DEI-centered keynote addresses, motivational speeches, and guest lectures in an effort to disrupt and dismantle systems of oppression. Of all her many roles, Amber maintains Mama, and it's far the most rewarding and indescribable pay. She works zealously with the desire to see a world where everyone's sons and daughters are treated equitably. In the pursuit of happiness will never be impeded by hate or discrimination. So, with that being said, I'm excited to hear what she's going to share with us today. With no further introduction, please welcome Ms. Amber Booth McCoy.
There, am I off mute?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I am super excited to be here. It has been such an amazing time, just being able to be amongst such amazing women. So hopefully I get to add to that and we have a conversation and just talk about what social justice looks like and what that means, I guess, a little bit to me and hopefully to you as well. When we are the ones we've been waiting for. It is often said that necessity is the mother of invention and innovation. And I know that dealing with women in tech, that I don't have to explain that at all. I also firmly believe as a diversity specialist that it is also tragedy, despair, and injustice that's often the forebearers and mother of change, legislation, justice, and necessary and needed conversations designed to right past wrongs. As a diversity specialist and inclusion strategist, one of the questions that I'm asked most often, other than, Amber, is it racist or sexist if? And the answer is always yes, always. But outside of that, I talk to individuals who know that something is wrong, that society on a local, national, and international scale is not working at its best for everyone. And that the factors that should play no part in your quality of life, such as who, how, or what you were born, are impeding individuals' right to life, liberty, and that pursuit of happiness. And they're ready to be part of the change. They are ready to do something that says, how do we shake this up? And I am often reminded of the words of activist, author, and powerhouse June Jordan. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So often in the workforce and in society, we hear that representation matters. And representation most certainly matters. You can't be what you can't see. What's also true for many marginalized and historically excluded identities and populations is that individuals are blindly but boldly walking with vision and passion because they are the representation. More often than not, it is important for those of us who are the first to make sure that we are not the last and not the only. So I'll tell you, like I tell my friends and family, I don't know everything, and I will always share what I know. And if I don't know, I will always be willing to grow with you. So first things first, as a lover of words, the daughter of a principal, coming from a family of educators, and now being a professor myself, one thing for sure that I know is that language is a labor of love and that words matter. So let's get on the same page first as it relates to just social justice. Social justice, according to Merriam-Webster, is the fair treatment of all people in society, including respect for the rights of minorities and equitable distribution of resources among members of a community. To have conversations about justice and to do so fairly and with context means that we start by acknowledging that equity and equality are not the same, that we did not get the disparities that we have in healthcare and education, in wealth, and in criminal justice by giving equally, and we won't fix them by giving equally. Equity is where we give what is needed to whom it is needed. It is going to be inherently unfair. It's going to look like preferential treatment, playing favorites, and programs designed specifically for identities and communities. And I'll tell you, it's damn fair. Until society works for the most vulnerable of us, then, well, it truly functions for none of us. The reason that we are the ones that we're waiting for is because power has now and always resided with the people. Separate, we are weak, but together, we are mighty. A few months ago, I was working with an institution, and the goal of this institution was to bring awareness to Black maternal and infant mortality. Now, this is a vastly important subject because as a Black woman, I am 3 to 4 times more likely to die from maternal-related complications than my white counterparts. And when researchers exclude for every other variable, socioeconomic status, geographic location, education, you name it, it still comes down to race. Now, as a part of this initiative with this institution, we were watching an amazingly done short film that follows the life of a pregnant Black woman, or the day, if you will, of a pregnant Black woman. And I'll just tell you that the film ends in tragedy. But after watching the film, we would have small group discussions with members of the institution. Now, I facilitated these conversations over and over again. And after watching the film, I often would ask participants to share the first word that comes or that bubbles up for them at the end of watching the video. And in one of the first conversations that we're having, there was a white female participant that shared that she was sad, honestly, but she was relieved. She was relieved that the baby passed away and not the mother. Now, understand that for me, I needed to pause a moment, honestly, because that is her truth. But the truth for me is that I saw myself in the lead character. I saw myself as that Black woman. So what I heard her say was that she had already reconciled my death from the beginning. That she had already come to terms with the tragedy of my demise. And when it didn't happen, she was relieved. Social justice means that each and every one of us has to get to a place where we don't become excited or relieved when tragedy doesn't happen, but that we fight tooth and nail to prevent tragedies and inequities and injustices from happening. That we are no longer pleasantly surprised when someone overcomes the odds, but that we are continuously distraught that those are the odds that one must overcome. Late civil rights activist and United States Representative John Lewis said that we have to get in the way, that we have to get in good trouble, necessary trouble, and help redeem the soul of America. Each and every one of us has to decide what trouble looks like for us, understanding that every single ballot cast is either a step forward or backward. That when we review candidates for our city boards, our school boards, our communities, that we do so not with just our family and our identities in mind, but with our whole community in mind. I have a group of friends and we have an organization because we are Dope AF. It stands for Amazing Females. And we often argue over influence versus power and which is more important. Now, I'll tell you that our friend and member of this coalition, Gianni, often reminds us that the power resides and rests with the people. And I want to remind you that we individually decide as a collective the type of influence that we will allow, that we embrace, that we amplify, and ultimately that we deserve as a community. Each and every one of us has a sphere of influence. Your group of friends, your Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all 5 of your followers have decided to follow you. And that means that they're listening to you. 2020 was a hard year for most all of us. It was difficult to endure a global pandemic, and here in America to endure that pandemic amid civil unrest and injustices, gross miscarriages of justice, such as Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and the very public and long murder of George Floyd. I can tell you, as a diversity specialist, I am used to having conversations about race and identity. But in 2020, my heart was broken so many times, not because of the hate and vitriol on my timeline. My heart was broken because of the silence from individuals that I wanted and needed to hear from. The silence of my white 12th grade prom date broke my heart. I thought, even if he only knows me, can't he say something during all of this? And he said nothing. Holocaust survivor, Nobel Peace Prize recipient, and Elie Wiesel said one of my favorite quotes, that we must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Sometimes we must interfere. When human lives are in danger, when human dignity is in jeopardy, national borders and sensitivities become irrelevant. Wherever men and women are persecuted because of their race, religion, or political views, that place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe. Each and every one of us experiences center of the universe moments. Center of the universe moments are when you are in the boardroom, in break rooms, bedrooms, in dining rooms, and you hear someone say that bigoted, racist, sexist, discriminatory thing. That is your center of the universe moment. It's my job to say, Uncle Joe, that's not okay. I don't actually have an Uncle Joe. That's not okay. And Uncle Joe may never stop saying the things that he said, but somebody saw Amber take her center of the universe moment. And maybe that means that they'll take their center of the universe moment. And every single center of the universe moment taken is one step closer to a world that is equitable and just, where individuals don't live in fear simply because of their identities. It's important for us to remember, like this year's theme, progress, not perfection. In my field and in the work I do in my community, I often hear individuals who are saying that they want to say something, that they want to do something, that they want to be a part of change. The truth is, they're afraid to get it wrong. I have to remind them that there are very few things that I did that were perfect the first time that I did them. I can't think of any, actually. It also means that we're going to get it wrong sometimes. Fighting for social justice means that you're going to keep showing up even when you don't know everything. I don't need every single fact on pedophilia to tell you that I am not okay with it. It is wrong, and we must protect children. Just that simple. I like to think of these conversations like the fast food restaurants that we go to. We go to fast food restaurants and they get your order wrong every time. You ask for ketchup and you get mustard. You ask for napkins, you never get those. And guaranteed there is one fast food restaurant that we don't even know why they still have an ice cream machine. And you know what we do? We show up the next day smiling, ready to let them get it wrong again. We have to continue showing up for uncomfortable conversations, scary situations where we are fighting to amplify the voices of the vulnerable, the unheard, and the oppressed. We hear lots of conversations about allyship. And the truth is, when it comes to allyship, what I think of is I think of war. When a country goes to war, the countries that they are allied with say, hey, I'm going to fight with you, alongside you. And what that means is that I could experience the same consequences that you experience. Being an ally means that you are ready to show up and fight injustice, that you are acknowledging that you are taking a side, and that silence only encourages the tormentor. It's also true that I tell you that what comes from the heart reaches the heart. During 2020, when life was tough, and especially for me, just as a Black female diversity specialist and mother of 2 Black sons, 2020 was a tough year for me. And when George Floyd died, one of my white friends, she sent me flowers. Now, I teased her and I told her I had never received Black flowers before. But the truth is, I knew what she was saying was, I know that something is wrong. I don't know what to say, but I need you to know that you're on my mind. Those flowers meant everything to me. She didn't call me to talk about the injustices of the world or how she was going to set right past wrongs. She simply gave me a gesture that let me know I'm thinking about you and your whole self, you and your identity. I'm not going to pretend that you are not a Black woman that is being impacted by what's going on in society. And those flowers meant the world to me. The truth is, we have to keep showing up. That if we want to see a world where we are dismantling systems of oppression, where we no longer see food insecurity and shelter insecurity and racism and sexism and misogyny, and we want to make sure that this world is better than it was when we got here, then it means we have to keep getting in good trouble. It means that we're going to have to take sides. It means that you keep showing up even when it's uncomfortable. Truth of the matter is, I normally don't go to the gym until my pants don't fit, like now. But it is that discomfort that lets me know that it's time for change. I encourage you to lean into the discomfort of uncomfortable conversations. Because you know what's truly uncomfortable? Oppression, discrimination, prejudice. And individuals experiencing them are willing to share their discomfort with you just a little if you're willing to be bold enough to take it on. Because that's what allyship looks like. We can't keep questioning who's going to do something and why hasn't someone done anything. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Progress, not perfection. It means that we may not see the complete and total end of that dismantling. But what it does mean is that if the world is not a little bit better, our communities, our families are not a little bit better than they were before we got here, then shame on us. And then it means that we repeat and do it over and over again. My name is Amber Nicole. I am your favorite diversity specialist. Would love for you to follow me on social media. This is all of my social media handles, and I will make sure to put them in our chat as well. And I am always open for questions.
Thank you, Amber. Wow, what a powerful presentation. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, I have so many great nuggets. I don't even know where to start. But yeah, definitely the center of the universe moment. I think there's always times where we feel very uncomfortable about confronting someone and we're not always sure what to say. But again, like you said, with progress, not perfection, we start somewhere. And if we mess up, we got something to learn from. We do better the next time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So are there any questions that we have for Amber? Amazing. I love that too. It's the first time I've heard that one. I'm going to use that going forward.
Dope AF. Yes. That's us.
Yes, Sherry. Every voice is powerful. Absolutely. I think one of the things that I've learned, Siri's trying to ask me a question. But one of the things that I learned as well is that my voice matters. I'm very kind of reserved. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it is very hard to speak up, but absolutely. Every voice is important. And
we all have a sphere of influence. I mean, even if it's the person next to you, you say something.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Let's see. Dan just says such a powerful presentation and he can't wait to share it. So
thank you much. Thank you much.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Amber. And if there are any other questions, we also want to make sure that we follow Amber on our social media. And don't forget to ask any more questions in the Slack channel if you have more additional questions, or to the email address that we have for IWD.
Oh, we have a question. Okay. Sorry. Let's see. What's the biggest initiative right now that you are most looking forward to move the dial? So, honestly, in the state of Arkansas, I formed a coalition with other organizations called AR Creed, and we have launched statewide racial equity conversations focused on education. And so I think that is education is something that genuinely, I think everyone can wrap their arms around and say that students and children should not receive different levels or quality of education based on their identity. So I am vastly looking at the outcome of what these conversations will bring. It is literally organizations that you wouldn't think working together, bringing people from what they call both sides of the aisle down to sit down and do everything from have dinner to have conversations about our own background. So that's something that I'm excited to see what the outcome of that will be. What I know is that having the conversation is most important, and pretending that it doesn't happen is why we keep having to have the conversation.
Absolutely. Is that all of our questions for Amber? Yeah. Well, if there are any more, feel free to share those again in the Slack channel and we'll be able to answer those for you guys. Thank you again so much, Amber.
Thank you for having me. Bye.